You wake up in the middle of the night with a deep cut across your hand. It isn't life-threatening, but it burns, it throbs. By morning, the skin is swollen. A few days later, it begins to smell. Today, you would wash it, cover it, maybe take antibiotics. In less than an hour, the problem is under control. Now imagine the same injury 40,000 years ago. No hospitals, no pharmacies, no painkillers, no antibiotics. Just you, and a wound that could decide whether you lived or died. Yet somehow, your ancestors survived. Not once, not by luck. For hundreds of thousands of years, modern medicine is astonishingly young. Penicillin wasn't discovered until 1928, when Scottish bacteriologist Alexander Fleming noticed mold-killing bacteria inside a forgotten laboratory dish in London. Before that moment, even a minor infection could become fatal. And yet humans had already crossed continents, survived ice ages, hunted mammoths, and raised generations of children. Which raises an uncomfortable question. How did humans survive for nearly 300,000 years without medicine? The answer changes the way you think about survival itself. Because prehistoric humans weren't simply enduring nature, they were quietly becoming its first doctors. Around 60,000 years ago, in what is now northern Iraq, a man suffered injuries that should have killed him. His right arm was badly damaged, probably unusable. One eye was blind. His leg showed signs of severe trauma. By every modern assumption, someone with those injuries should have died quickly. Instead, he lived for years. His skeleton was discovered inside Shanidar Cave in the 1950s by American archaeologist Ralph Selecki. Today, researchers call him Shanidar 1. His bones tell an extraordinary story. The fractures healed. The damaged joints remodeled over time. The missing arm had healed long before death. This wasn't someone who survived a single accident. This was someone who survived long enough for his body to rebuild itself. Healing like that takes months, sometimes years. During that time, he probably couldn't hunt. He may not have been able to gather food. He almost certainly depended on other people. For decades, Shanidar 1 became one of archaeology's strongest pieces of evidence that compassion existed long before civilization. But there was another clue hidden inside those bones. Healing itself. Your body is constantly repairing damage without you noticing. Every second, millions of cells divide. White blood cells attack invading bacteria. Platelets seal broken blood vessels in minutes. Collagen slowly stitches torn skin together. None of these processes require hospitals. They evolved millions of years before humans existed. Medicine didn't invent healing. It learned how healing already worked. Long before humans discovered antibiotics, evolution had built an emergency response system inside every one of us. But evolution has limits. A deep infection doesn't care how sophisticated your immune system is. Without help, many wounds still become deadly. Which means ancient humans needed something more than biology. They needed knowledge. Evidence for that knowledge appeared thousands of kilometers away. In 2012, researchers studying dental plaque from El Cedrón Cave in northern Spain made an unexpected discovery. The plaque belonged to Neanderthals who lived around 49,000 years ago. Trapped inside the hardened calculus were microscopic traces of food. But there was something else. DNA from populus, or poplar trees, and a bitter fungus called penicillium. At first glance, neither makes much sense. Poplar bark tastes unpleasant. It has almost no nutritional value. Penicillium isn't exactly dinner either. Then researchers look closer. Poplar contains salicylic acid. It's the same natural compound that inspired aspirin. Penicillium is the same genus of fungus that would eventually give the modern world penicillin. Even more interesting, one of those Neanderthals had a severe dental abscess. His jawbone showed signs of painful infection. Eating would have been agonizing. Researchers led by Karen Hardy proposed a remarkable possibility. This Neanderthal may have deliberately chewed medicinal plants while suffering from tooth disease, not because they tasted good, because they worked. If that's true, it pushes the origins of medicine back tens of thousands of years before farming, long before written language, long before recorded history. Imagine learning that by trial and error. One wrong plant could poison you. Another could save your life. Knowledge like that couldn't come from instinct alone. It had to be remembered, shared, protected. But here's where it gets stranger. The most important prehistoric medicine may never have come from a plant at all. The oldest medicine may have been something you carry with you every day, not in your pocket, on your skin. Your body is home to trillions of microorganisms. Bacteria, fungi, and viruses cover almost every surface. In 2007, the Human Microbiome Project began mapping this hidden ecosystem, revealing that microbial cells living on and inside you play a critical role in digestion, immunity, and healing. To prehistoric humans, these organisms were invisible, but their effects were not. A healthy wound often healed. A dirty one often did not. Over thousands of generations, people began noticing patterns. Wash a wound in clean, flowing water. Keep flies away. Leave certain leaves or tree resins over the cut. Some people recovered, others didn't. No one understood bacteria, but they didn't need microscopes to recognize survival. Evidence of this practical knowledge appears in places separated by thousands of kilometers. At Border Cave in South Africa, archaeologists uncovered charred plant remains dating to nearly 200,000 years ago. Some belong to species still known for their medicinal properties. At Pinnacle Point, also in South Africa, people were collecting and processing plants with remarkable consistency more than 160,000 years ago. We cannot prove exactly why every plant was gathered. Food and medicine often overlap. But many hunter-gatherer societies documented in recent centuries use the same species for both nutrition and healing. The line between eating and treating an illness was often the same plant. Except there was a problem. Not every injury could heal with herbs. Broken bones demanded something else. In the mountains of northern Iraq, Shanidar I wasn't the only surprise. His skeleton showed that several major fractures healed in alignment. That matters. Bone does not simply reconnect by chance. A broken limb must remain relatively still for weeks. Even today, orthopedic surgeons rely on the body's natural ability to rebuild bone. Their job is mostly to keep the pieces in the right position. Prehistoric people had no plaster casts, no x-rays, no metal pins. Yet skeleton after skeleton tells the same story. At Sunghir, near Moscow, 2 children buried around 34,000 years ago showed signs of congenital conditions that would have made daily life extremely difficult. They survived for years before death. At Romito Cave in southern Italy, a young man with severe skeletal dysplasia lived into adulthood approximately 10,000 years ago. Neither individual could have consistently hunted large animals. Someone fed them, protected them, waited while they healed. This may have been humanity's greatest medical breakthrough. Not a plant, not a tool. Cooperation. In modern hospitals, healing often looks technological, but underneath every machine is the same biological reality. Recovery takes time. Time requires care. For prehistoric humans, the tribe was often the treatment. That's not the whole story. Sometimes, nature itself became the pharmacy. Around 1991, hikers in the Ötztal Alps on the border between Italy and Austria discovered a frozen body emerging from the ice. He became known as Ötzi the Iceman. He died approximately 5,300 years ago, after agriculture had already begun in parts of Europe, but his belongings preserve ancient medical knowledge that almost certainly stretches back into much earlier hunter-gatherer traditions. Among his equipment were 2 small pieces of birch polypore fungus, carefully threaded onto leather strips. At first, archaeologists wondered if they were simply used as tinder. Later studies suggested another possibility. Birch polypore contains compounds with antibacterial and antiparasitic properties. CT scans also revealed that Ötzi carried intestinal whipworms. The fungus may have been treatment or prevention. Either way, it wasn't random. He carried it intentionally. Researchers also found tattoos across his lower back, knees, and ankles. There are 61 in total. Interestingly, many lie close to joints showing signs of degeneration. Some scientists, including researchers studying therapeutic tattooing, have suggested these markings may have been connected to pain relief similar to later forms of acupuncture. The idea remains debated, but it reveals something important. Ancient people experimented. They observed. They refined techniques across generations. Medicine wasn't born in a single moment. It evolved slowly through thousands of years of careful observation. Every successful remedy became knowledge. Every failure disappeared with the people who tried it. But there was one enemy no amount of experience could completely defeat. An enemy too small for anyone to see.